In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this Chinese diesel heater. This is an unbranded heater that we've bought in. We're going to be taking it out, looking at the components and comparing them to a branded heater components. Then we're going to be installing it and running it up for the first time. So in the box, we're going to open it up and we've got the heater itself. It's handy sort of all-in-one heater. Like I say, this one's made by a company called Sunster. As you can see there, Sunster is an 8 kilowatt one, car parking heater, diesel, 12 volt, 40 watt, made in China. Comes with a fuel tank built in, so we've got a little diesel tank there you can fill up. Not sure how long that's going to last, but we'll see. And then what we might do is take our feed. We'll probably not use this tank eventually, take our feed down to a bigger tank in the workshop. We bought this for a couple of reasons. One, just to see, because it was just so cheap that we need to see what it's like. And also the fact that it was, our office is run on electric heating, and I want to put this in and just see if it makes any difference, see if it warms up the office, an 8 kilowatt heater. You know, can it relieve us of using electric? Can we use the diesel heater? Is it more efficient? Are we going to save money? Who knows? So we're going to put this in and have a look. This is the control panel. So the control panel on this one is slightly different. We paid a bit more to have this control panel, which apparently is slightly different to the older style control panels. So we're going to see what this is actually like. It's got some feet there which slot into some brackets. You normally get some brackets that you can bolt down, and that'll slot into those. Now the first thing that I've noticed is obviously that fuel pipe there which goes in is the green stuff, which is almost like a silicone hose, and that is what perishes. We've seen that perish so many times. So I'm going to be taking that off. I'm going to be replacing that with a rubber connector, going to a proper fuel line, and then back to another rubber connector over here. And we got our air intake pipe, and then we got our exhaust that comes away. So we need to connect an air intake pipe away on that. We need to connect the exhaust to go outside of this unit. We don't want any exhaust gases inside at all. So we won't be connecting a silencer, because generally a silencer has a hole in it to allow for condensation to run out, and we can't have that coming inside. So we're going to take that to an outside wall, and then it'll probably go straight through. They do a fitting called a through hull fitting in the marine sector for diesel heaters, and we'll probably use one of those to go through the tin that we've got here to outside, and that would work well for the exhaust outlet. Now it's all pretty much there. You got some connections on the back, out the back. So we got 12 volt connection, pos and neg, and we got what looks like an inline fuse just in the actual positive side. Now the auto terms have got a pos and neg on the positive and the negative. They got a fuse on the positive and negative, 25 amp. This one's just got it on the positive. Then also in the box we have a little remote. It's just got on and off. So we got a little remote there to use with the on and off. And it's actually got a plus and minus, so I'm presuming it will raise the temperature up and down as well. And then we've got another box in here which has a few bits in. So what have we got in here? So we've got a outlet pipe that will stretch out a bit longer. We've got our air intake pipe for the combustion, so that's the air intake. You've got your hot air outlet pipe that can go on the machine, and then we've got an exhaust pipe which is, as expected, very, very thin. That is just so thin, that's unbelievable. But yeah, so we've got an exhaust pipe there. I'll show you that one against an auto term and a branded heater, because yeah, that's like super thin, that. And then we've got your silencer again. So the silencer, what I was saying about the hole to outside, is in a silencer like this. What you have is in the bottom here. Some of them come with it, some of them don't, but you see a little hole there. I'm not sure how well that's picking up on the camera, but that hole there is for the condensation to run out. So when that's mounted, it's got a bit at the top. You've got your exhaust coming into that, your exhaust there, your mounting hole there, and that'll go onto a bracket such as this one like that and be mounted underneath a vehicle, for instance. Any condensation picking up inside this silencer will just run down to the bottom and it's going to drop out rather than rusting it out. So that's got that, and we can't have that inside this building due to that leaking exhaust gases and causing us some potential harm. What else we've got in here? We've got the air filter. So this looks like a bag of all the bits and pieces. Not sure what all the bits and pieces are for there, but that's your silencer. That goes on. This one's actually got a filter, a little bit of a filter gauze in it. Stop any big bits going in, I'm presuming. Has slipped up. So the actual gauze has moved on the inside there, look. So anything that comes, any bits that it's meant to be blocking out, that's too small, so it slides down and you can actually get bits in that top bit. So not particularly great, but it is what it is. That then screws onto here, and then that goes onto the actual air intake on the heater itself. So we've got air silencer filter, air intake, exhaust, a clamp there for your air outlet, air heater outlet. There's actually two clamps, so I'm presuming they designed to go on something else, no idea. And then you've got a load of other various Jubilee clamps and exhaust brackets and some nuts and bolts and things. Some other tech screws, I presume, just to hold it down. You'll be using those with the feet. These are the feet that bolt down to the floor, and then this slides onto the actual heater itself. So if we just move some of this on that heater, this bolts to the floor, and then this heater would slide into that. So you'd put it on, it would slide in, put a particular way like that, and then that would secure it, and you'd have another one at the back here, and then you can slide it on and off of those. Yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to have to raise this up because the exhaust is going to come out the bottom, and so's the air filter. So we're going to put that up on a bit of 4x2 or something similar and bring it up in the air a little bit, give us a little bit more clearance on this bottom to do this heater. Now with that, obviously you've got to go careful because the exhaust does get extremely hot. I can see there's no lagging with this. So with some of the other heaters, you would get lagging for the exhaust itself, which is a sleeve that goes onto here, and it's got fiberglass in it, and it actually, you can grab hold of the exhaust. It is hot, but you can grab hold of it. When this is running with just a bare exhaust on it, that will be red hot. So go careful what you're putting in there. If you put wood underneath here, it's highly likely you're going to burn that wood or even catch fire to it. So let's have a look at that. I'll go get a branded one, some parts of these, and we'll compare the two. Okay, right, I've just picked up these bits from our spares kits upstairs. Now we're just going to compare some of these items. So the Webasto units, or Autoterm, this one is actually from Autoterm, would come with an exhaust that looks similar to this. So you've got a little bit of a capping over the end, and it's a good quality exhaust. So it's very thick. I can't even crush that. It's a very robust exhaust. You can bend it to shape as you would when you're installing them on the vans. Now compare that to what came with the cheap unbranded heater. If you look at that, this one, I can flatten that. That's how. Yeah, this one. See, that is solid, that's robust. Okay, so obviously some things aren't going to be as good quality as the more expensive ones. You kind of expect that. We paid very, very little. I'll tell you how much I paid for that later, but we hardly paid anything, a fraction of what one of these would be. Air intake on an Autoterm comes with a unit like this. So again, quite thick plastic, decent sort of size, silencer on the end, and then a cap over the end bit. On this one, the Chinese one, you're looking at a little bit of pipe that's just a bit of flexible cardboard pipe, and then its air filter on the end. The Webasto units normally come with an air filter exactly like this with a clamp round it. So the Webasto units do have one, and where this slot is, the actual fixing bracket, I don't think we got one with this kit, but with something like a Webasto, you'll have a fixing bracket that clamps around that, and then that clicks in underneath. And theirs is obviously far better quality. The inside gauze wouldn't be moving up and down like this one and allowing stuff in. So yep, there's that one. The heater exhaust, so that was our unbranded exhaust, which is obviously again quite thin metal. That is flexing a little bit, does have the hole out of it, but with an auto term. Is this bag open? Yeah, this bag is open. I'll open it a little bit more. There you go. So that's what you're going to get with an auto term. The weight of them for a start, this one there's just nothing to it. This one is actually very weighty. It's fully welded all the way around on all the seams. This one's just tacked in a few places. Size wise, again, the auto term is a larger silencer on that. And the overall build quality, there's just no comparison between the two. But it is what it is. You know, this one is a lot more expensive than this one. The outlet pipes. So when we're installing the branded heaters, we're always using a 2 kilowatt, which is a 60mm pipe. So this one's got a 60mm diameter pipe. What's come with this one is I think that's a 76 by the looks of things, size pipe. Yeah, I'd say about 76. Pipe wise, yeah, pretty much the same. They stretch and they flex. They stretch and it flexes. So it's a little bit thinner, but roughly the same as what you get on most heaters, I'd say. Fuel line, so that's the sleeving that comes with the exhaust on the brand ones. You'll get a heat-proof sleeving like that, and what that does is when you slide that over the exhaust, that then makes this exhaust far more insulated, and you can run wires near it, not on it but near it, and you can hold it whilst the heater's running. Without that, you wouldn't be able to hold this pipe without the heater running. Not that you want to be holding the pipe, but for running next to things and to prevent heat loss and everything else, this is what you want really. This heater didn't come with it at all. Fuel line, this is what we use on the auto terms. Fuel line is a very thick fuel line, small hole down through the middle of it, and this just lasts. I've never had to replace it. We've been installing heaters in vans since 2015. I've never had to replace a fuel line that we've put in due to perishing or anything like that. On the unbranded ones, the Chinese ones, that heater pipe, that fuel line, this, I don't know if I can get this off in here. No, it's like washer fluid line, and it just rots out straight away. So that does need replacing. I'll replace that with that. I'm going to put the aftermarket stuff on that one to make this one a bit more bulletproof. One thing I've noticed that this didn't come with is a power supply. So I know it's designed to run off 12 volt. We can run it off a 12 volt battery, but some of the heaters come with a 12 volt adapter. So from mains, from 240 volt to 12 volt adapter. It would have been nice if this had this, but then maybe that's because this one, as I say, we paid for this one, I think I paid £62 for it, for the whole kit. £62, and that was delivered from China to the UK. So that is just crazy. That's why we wanted to see what it can do. Now let's get all this hooked up. I'm going to change this around. I'm actually going to install this up the top. You can't really see it. Okay, so in our workshop, I'm going to install this up here. So it's going to be up in this area. I don't know whether I'm going to put it on the top of this unit up here at the moment, move all those off, or whether I'm going to actually mount it on some brackets off of the wall in this section. Going to have the exhaust going to outside, air intake taken from here. Now normally you want to take the air intake from outside, so that you don't have like a positive pressure in. So that way you can, any of the air, if you're taking air from in here and blowing it through the heater into outside, through the combustion chamber into outside, you're obviously drawing air into this workshop. As we're in a 1,500 square foot workshop here, it's not going to make any difference. It's not that well sealed. What we're going to do is we're going to have that heater here. That's all going to be operating down here, and then it's going to come up, and we're going to have a hose going along and up through the floor just above our heads. And that's going to actually go up through into the office. So that's the whole point of this heater, is that we can then take it upstairs to the office. So we're going to have duct away from there. I've actually bought a 3 meter length of hose. So I paid extra. It was about £10 for 3 meters. And I bought 3 meters of the black hose. And I've also bought a switching valve and an air outlet that's on an eyeball, so we can actually direct the heat where we want it to be. Those were all extra. I think the outlet was about £4, the hose was £10. Whereas in the UK, if we bought those outlets, some of those, the actual outlets themselves can be anywhere up to about £30, normally around £20. And the air hose itself could be £30 or £40, you know, whereas over there we're buying it for £10. So we'll see how those get on as well, and we'll install the whole thing. So let's get cracking with this and get it all up and running.